Imagine stepping into your favorite grocery store, confident that you'll grab a carton of eggs the way you always have, casually, almost on autopilot. Then, surprise, you see a price tag that makes you blink twice. $4.95 for a dozen grade A large eggs. You laugh nervously, double-check the shelf label, maybe glance around as if hidden cameras might pop out. But no, this isn't some prank. This is the new reality countless shoppers across America face, turning a routine errand into a wallet-pinching quest. It's so surreal you might recall those wistful back-in-my-day stories when someone would say eggs cost under $1. Except that's not ancient history, you can still remember paying around $2 or less just a few years ago. And now? Now you're holding a $4.95 carton that feels heavier not because of the eggs, but because of the price tag. It's got everyone from college students scraping by to parents juggling grocery budgets feeling that familiar twist of disbelief. It's as though we woke up in an alternate universe where eggs are suddenly luxury items. Yet we keep buying them because, hey, eggs are eggs. Scrambled, fried, boiled, they're essential, right? That's the emotional tug-of-war we're in. Part of you wants to shake a fist at the nearest official while the other part sighs and tosses the pricey carton into the shopping cart, promising yourself you'll find a cheaper deal next time. And it's that universal sense of shock and inevitability, that mix of frustration and acceptance, that's gripping households nationwide. You see, it didn't happen overnight. It's been building like the world's slowest roller coaster climb, tick by tick, cent by cent, ever since a highly contagious strain of bird flu started ravaging poultry farms in early 2022. Suddenly, farmers across the country faced the dreaded news: if an outbreak hits, your entire flock might have to go. You can almost picture the heartbreak of poultry producers seeing their life's work and their chickens vanish in an instant. With each large-scale outbreak, more headlines screamed about supply shortages, and each culling meant fewer hens laying eggs. Fewer hens naturally meant fewer eggs, and with fewer eggs came a price hike. It was as if we were all part of some weird economic experiment. How high would prices have to go before people said enough? But eggs are such a staple, it turns out our collective threshold is surprisingly high. That's one reason stores don't even use eggs as the draw-them-in-cheap trick anymore. Why lure shoppers with bargain basement prices if you might run out of stock before noon? Better to price them high, keep them on the shelves, and hope people still buy. And buy we do, albeit with a little grumbling under our breath. This situation has left everyone from seasoned home cooks to breakfast-loving kids feeling unsettled. It's created new frustrations, new jokes, and new recipes that might stretch a single egg further than we ever thought possible. Of course, it's not just about our morning omelets or that birthday cake we promised to bake. Lurking behind these skyrocketing prices is a genuine crisis, one that has the government scurrying for solutions. The U.S. Department of Agriculture just announced a new $1 billion plan, yes, that's billion with a B, to help curb the bird flu's relentless march. The idea is to ease the financial blow to farmers, step up safety measures, and maybe even develop a vaccine or cut certain red tape to keep supply lines humming. Picture research labs rushing to find a game-changing vaccine that could protect our hens and, by extension, protect our wallets. Meanwhile, officials also hint at letting in more egg imports, at least for a while, and slowing down exports so the eggs we do produce stay right here on home soil. And in the background, there's talk of rolling back state regulations that make it even harder for producers to adapt to changing market conditions. Now, the details might sound like bureaucratic jargon, but underneath are real, palpable effects on the grocery store shelf. Because when you're juggling kids' lunch schedules, early morning commutes, or strict personal budgets, you just want to know if that next trip to the store will finally offer some relief, or if the sticker shock is here to stay a bit longer. Despite how it might appear, inflation and pandemic aftershocks aren't the only culprits. Sure, they contribute a layer of complexity, but the heart of the matter is this bird flu outbreak. Experts call it H5N1, but everyday folks just call it trouble. As of the last count, over 129 million egg-laying hens have been affected. A smaller flock means a tighter supply, which naturally sends prices soaring. And ironically, these high prices haven't scared us away from eggs, which only intensifies the supply-demand imbalance. Even more bizarre is how retailers have evolved their egg pricing strategy. Remember when eggs were cheap enough to make you think, wow, that's a great deal? Those days are now a memory, replaced by the real concern that discounting too heavily could cause runs on what few eggs are available. Empty shelves scare off shoppers far more than a lofty price tag, apparently. So we inch along, paying top dollar, making jokes about how each egg could be plated like a gourmet masterpiece, all while hoping something soon will restore normalcy. But as each week passes, the story gets a little more dramatic, with fresh outbreaks reported across states from Arizona to Washington. It's like a never-ending game of whack-a-mole where the virus pops up here, then there, and each time it does, it sets us all back a step or two. For many producers, it's a race against time. Trying to rebuild flocks when a deadly virus is still on the loose feels like patching a boat while it's actively taking on water. And no one knows how long it'll take for production levels to bounce back. Will the new USDA plan be the life raft everyone's hoping for, or just a temporary patch that buys us more time? Farmers are longing for real security, consumers are desperate for reasonable prices, and officials are scrambling to ensure a supply that meets demand without triggering a public outcry. Look closely, and you can almost see the tension behind closed doors. Each decision about import quotas, each regulation tweak, each legislative proposal is overshadowed by the question, are we stopping the virus for good, or just playing a high-stakes version of catch-up? Meanwhile, the humble grocery shopper feels the swirl of uncertainty every time they lift that fridge door in the store dairy aisle. Little do we know, behind that price tag is an entire drama, farmers, scientists, politicians, and supply chain managers all in frantic motion, hoping to keep these egg cartons from disappearing altogether or rocketing to an even steeper price point. Even more complicated are the emerging cage-free laws that have taken effect across multiple states this year. It's a measure designed to improve animal welfare, which most people agree is a good thing in principle, but the timing couldn't be more challenging. Already, farmers have to navigate the bird flu crisis. Then, if you're in a state that mandates cage-free production, you must either comply or face the risk of not being able to sell eggs at all. This means a big chunk of the U.S. flock is in facilities that are more vulnerable to outbreaks, since cage-free hens move around more and the virus can spread quickly among them. And when bird flu strikes, it hits these flocks especially hard. Numbers tell us that while only about a third of U.S. egg layers are cage-free, they made up nearly 60% of bird flu cases last year. That's a whole lot of hens sidelined and a whole lot of cage-free cartons missing from the shelves. For consumers in these states, the problem is extra sticky. Not only are there fewer eggs in general, but their laws mean they can't even stock up on cheaper conventional eggs from out of state. It's the perfect storm of high demand, short supply, and strict regulations. And so you walk into the store, see either absurdly expensive cage-free eggs or empty shelves, and you wonder, is this the new normal? Just when you start to feel the tension peak, along comes the conversation about how retailers themselves might cope. Imagine you're a store manager. You don't want people to come in and find empty displays because that could drive them away in frustration. No one likes seeing bare shelves. But if you drop your prices too low, you risk selling out faster than you can restock. It's a precarious balancing act. The end result is a big chunk of consumers paying more than they ever thought they would for eggs. And still, bizarrely, the industry calls it a success if everyone can at least find some eggs to buy, even at a premium. Yet, we're all stuck in this uneasy limbo, waiting for the moment when supply recovers enough that stores can afford to run those cozy little eggs for $1.99 promotions again. Maybe it'll take the new federal plan to beat back the flu. Maybe it'll require a huge ramp-up in vaccine research. Maybe it'll hinge on how quickly or slowly states adapt their cage-free laws. Every day feels like a countdown to that elusive point where we can all breathe a sigh of relief, crack open an egg with a smile, and not worry that we're draining our bank accounts just to make an omelet. So how does this all wrap up? Well, if you've hung on this long, you know that egg prices aren't just about eggs. They're about how farmers cope with crises, how governments juggle policies, how supply chains buckle and bend under pressure, and how we, the consumers, respond when faced with scarcity. You've probably lived some version of this scenario yourself, whether you're a busy parent, an enthusiastic baker, or a student who subsists on a steady stream of Sunnyside UPS. Maybe you've wandered the aisles shaking your head at those prices or visited multiple stores hoping to snag a deal. And yet, here we are, watching the situation evolve day by day, uncertain but still united by the universal need for those little white or brown oval shells. Perhaps, if the plans in motion succeed, we'll soon see a gentle downward slope in prices. Maybe after that we can smile nostalgically at the memory of nearly $5 cartons while returning to more modest figures. In the meantime, let's keep the conversation going, and that's where you come in. If you found this journey through the mysteries of the egg market compelling or eye-opening, do me a huge favor, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us keep digging into these real-life stories that affect us all. And trust me, you won't want to miss the updates. Because in a market this unpredictable, the next twist could be just around the corner.